Hey folks, Dr. J here of Unifour Life and Retirement, and today's special guest that I have with me is Amanda Lael. Amanda is from Hickory, Amanda, is that correct?
Actually, I'm from Marion, North Carolina.
Marion. Hickory native now. Been
Yes.
Hickory for how many years?
About 26 years.
26. You are official a Hickoryan. That's correct. I've got Amanda here today because she has a special story to share with us in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Amanda is a breast cancer survivor. Thank God. Praise the Lord.
Yes.
She has a good story to talk to us about, and she works for Centerwell Home Health. I think she is a director, area director.
Area director of sales. Yes.
Area director of sales. So she's going to tell us a little bit about Centerwell Home Health, and then we're going to talk about her story.
Yeah, so Centerwell is a skilled home health company. We're here locally, but we're actually national. So we cover the whole United States. We're the largest home health in the country. It's really geared towards seniors, keeping seniors safe in their home, keeping them more active. If they have chronic diseases, we can teach them self-management, techniques to really just help them heal better in their home setting. I've been with them 20 years. I was a sales rep. I started out in the field, and now I manage my team here in Hickory and in the Iredell County market.
Right. So you deal with a lot of people, and you probably see a lot of things on a weekly basis,
I sure
right?
do.
That's good. Well, glad to have you part of the podcast today, Amanda.
Thank you.
So, Amanda, breast cancer. This is something that I think we were talking. You were diagnosed with it when you were.
I was right. Just turned 40.
Just turned 40.
Yep.
Tell us your story, Amanda. It's a good story, I've heard.
Yeah. So I've always been very active. I was a college athlete. I played basketball in college. So I've worked out my entire life, very healthy, ate very well, had a good job, of course, very passionate about my faith. Never thought this would happen, but it did, and it was a very big surprise. When I was diagnosed at an early age, I decided to be very aggressive, had a double mastectomy, went through treatment, and now I'm 8 years out. March was my 8-year cancerversary is what I call it.
Is that cancer?
Yes.
That's good for you. Outstanding.
Yeah.
When you had that, Amanda, was it a shock to you? Did you feel like, it's like you've ate right, you've exercised. I mean, how could this happen?
Yeah, it was a really big shock. It was kind of one of those things that very on the go job, very stressful. Sales, as you know, is can be stressful. Didn't really have any symptoms or anything that was causing me to think anything was wrong. It was actually just a change in one of my breasts that my 3-year-old daughter noticed.
Really? Mm-hmm. Thank God for kids, right?
It was, she's the one that noticed it. And so I'm big on breast exams, self-awareness, body awareness, yearly mammograms. There's so much preventative things that they can do now with breast cancer, and it's so important for women to always do their self-checks, do their yearly mammograms. Insurance pays for it. And really just make sure they know their body.
When do you think, Amanda, is a good time for women to start those examinations? Is it something you do later in life?
No, I mean, it's something that they as long as when you go to the physician, as long as you're, I would probably say, develop breasts, you need to be doing those breast self-exams. I know I've already taught my daughter how to do those.
Right.
But it is something that the doctors teach you, but, mine was not visible. No one ever saw my tumor. My blood work was fine. Nothing ever showed that I had cancer in my body. So it's of course the mammogram did, but those are things that I would always suggest women doing, is making sure they do their yearly mammograms. Don't skip a year, and because it can happen really quick.
So you had your physical, your examination done, and it was your daughter to notice that and say, "Hey, Mom, that doesn't look right," and that's what said, "Well, let me get it checked out."
Right.
And that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Well, that's good for you.
It's
right?
a good story to tell these days, though.
It really is good. I mean, because you just never know. When you hear things like cancer, we'll take even breast cancer, for example, a lot of people are going to associate it with, well, it's going to happen to somebody that, tobacco user, right?
Right.
You've heard it for years. Smoking causes cancer, and it does have links to it. Unhealthy lifestyles. But you're an athlete. You played basketball. You ate right. You probably ate a lot of grass, salads, and things of that nature. Doing preventive measures, and it's one of those things that can rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
At any given time.
Right, and I think it's a lot about what pollutants, chemicals, things that we are faced with now in the environment that we live in. I'm very in tune with like holistic measures, eating clean, eating healthy, organic, non-GMO is so. I know my family eats that just for that reason, because there was really nothing that led to my story about having breast cancer. It's not a family. It wasn't genetic. There was no family history. It was just happened to me. So,
what are the percentages? And I haven't looked at it recently, Amanda. How many women out of 2 out of 5?
I think it is like 2 out of 7, maybe.
Is that right?
But I don't know that, so do not quote me on that percentage.
Right.
But I used to do a lot more community outreach, and I still do a lot of support for women. I know I just had 2 ladies call me this week that I've just became a resource for women that want to know what to expect if they're going to get a lumpectomy or a mastectomy or what to expect from radiation. So I do try to do a lot of outreach in the community, and I have a support group that I do through my church that we meet once a month. Kind of fizzled out a little bit over COVID, and we're just trying to kick that back off. But you would not believe the women I talk to every day that has been touched with breast cancer. Right. It's a big deal. And there's a lot of resources in this community. We have a great medical community here that has a lot of resources, but I haven't really found a lot of faith-based resources. So my support group that I do is faith-based. We do a devotion, we do prayer time, we do things together to really support each other from a biblical standpoint as well.
I like that. That's good. Amanda, what would you say to the women out there, people in general, that are probably thinking that, it's a good story. We're glad Amanda's a survivor, but it may or may not happen to me. It'll probably happen to the person next door. What would you say to those folks out there that's listening to this podcast today? What kind of advice could you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything can happen in this day and time. Definitely never thought cancer would happen to me. Like I mentioned before, it hit us hard. But I mean, it's something that I think we all need to be prepared for with our futures, is putting things in place that could help us if that did happen. Right. Because at any given day, cancer touches different kinds of cancer, not just breast cancer. There's so many different types of cancer out there that are going to touch people's lives and hit you when you least expect it.
Right, exactly. I love hearing stories, people that have survived from it, because when you hear that word, I mean, let's face it, it's not the sniffles, it's not the flu, it's something that's just, it's not good to hear.
Right.
And the next thing I'll bring up is, well, what would somebody say if there was something out there that they could have in place that could be used as a shock absorber? Not a cure, but something that can be used as a safety net, a shock absorber, because let's face it, if you have cancer, breast cancer, or any kind of cancer in general that just kind of brings you down, it's going to take a toll on you, right? The last thing you're thinking about is, I got to go to work the next day. You're thinking about how you're going to continue making your bills and making your payments and things of that nature. With Transamerica, we've had something for years now that's called living benefits. I'm real passionate about it because I just think, Amanda, I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. When you mention life insurance, a lot of people, they think life insurance is good for one thing, and you and I talked about this earlier, it's only good if you pass, right?
Right.
But with Transamerica, if someone is ever diagnosed with illnesses, such as cancer a big one, based on how severe that case is, they could withdraw up to 90% of their coverage amount. And in my opinion, I think that's huge. I think it's better than a goose egg any day of the week. What are your thoughts about that, Amanda, with the women out there that have been going through cancer? Or let's just face it, breast cancer is probably not done. There's probably, I don't know how many women between now and probably the end of the year that'll get diagnosed with breast cancer. Right. What are your thoughts about having something like that in place? Do you think it'd be beneficial if folks had something like that that could use against bills and things of that nature, have money coming in for them instead of nothing?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's, well, you educated me before we even started this. I didn't realize that those benefits, we have life insurance, but I didn't know that those benefits that you mentioned were even out there. But absolutely, every year, it's funny you say that. When I would sign up for my benefits for my company, very good insurance with our company, I always bypassed the cancer policy. I said, I don't need that. I don't need to add that extra amount per my check that was going to be taken out for that. I'm not going to get cancer, but now I can't sign up for it, because I've had that diagnosis. So, yeah, absolutely. I encourage people that I talk to, and as a support to always, if you have that option through your company, to make sure you sign up for a cancer policy. But just like you're mentioning, this is an extra level of security. I was very fortunate that I had an extra, plan for short-term disability where I was able to stay out 6 months. My kids were 3 and 5 years old, and so I was able to stay out with them and really just heal and get better. So absolutely, what your product is probably something that a lot of people don't know about.
Right. How did it affect your family, your husband, when they found out the news? How were they just gather around you, a support group?
Absolutely.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have a wonderful family on both sides, my family and his family. So yeah, it was great. I mean, just a great support. My husband was wonderful through it, and my kids have grown through it.
It's a touching thing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes us real, and it makes us.
And I said I wasn't going to cry.
No. It's it's what makes this thing real. This is not. It's not rehearsed. We don't come in. We haven't rehearsed anything.
No.
It's a real thing. Real people. You're somebody, and the reason I got you is because you're right here in Hickory, North Carolina. You're not somebody I brought in from the West Coast. Mm-hmm. A movie star or actress. I mean, you could be an actress, of course, but
thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But it's somebody that I want my viewers out there, all my patients from Unifour Life and Retirement, to see what we have here is real. The things that happen to us are real.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, there's so many folks out there, Amanda, they don't have anything like what you had from work as far as insurance. They'll bypass some of these things because a lot of us feel like
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Cancer's a real thing. I hear about it. You and I are roughly the same age, Amanda, and I've said this in my previous podcast, and I'll say it again because I think it holds true. Back in the 80s, when you and I were younger than we were now, if somebody was diagnosed with cancer, if somebody had a heart attack or had a stroke or all these other illnesses we've talked about before, it was somebody that was normally old, and they passed from it. They didn't survive from it. Now it's people in our age group, Amanda, and even younger, that are getting hit with cancer, and they're not prepared for it. It has heart attacks, has strokes, and they have nothing at all in place to take care of them. And I've been with Transamerica for 8 years. The living benefits that I have, I know are second to none. Mm-hmm. I know that because I know what my competition has versus what I've got. It makes me feel good. We've got something to say, you know what, folks, you can be living and still benefit from your life insurance. I just think it's something second to none. And it's like you said earlier, we can't discount and think that it's never going to happen to me. I'll wait. Life insurance is important, Jay. I think I'll wait maybe a couple of years from now before I speak to you. Well, waiting, you can do that, right? But the longer you wait, we put ourselves in that Pandora's box. At risk of not knowing what could transpire. So that's why I'm just adamant about the product. I'm adamant about the company. And I'm adamant about getting people like yourself on the podcasts that can tell a good story. People that are here, people that folks can lock arms with and say, you know what, Amanda Lael, she's somebody I know. She went through this and she's a survivor. It can happen to anybody. And it's stories like yours, Amanda, that I feel like can help the people out there that are listening to the podcast today to be better equipped for the future.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Amanda, I appreciate it so much. Your story has been very enlightening. Viewers, Amanda Lael, Centerville Home Health, right here in Hickory, North Carolina. Great story in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October here in 2023. Amanda, thank you so much for taking the time to let us into your life about what happened with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being participant here today. And folks, I am Dr. Jay Moore with Unifour Life and Retirement, thanking you for listening to my podcast again today, reminding you that if you do have life insurance, it would be great for me to show you what I've got in comparison. Let you be the deciding factor if you think it's a better benefit for you. Literally half my business comes from people like you who do have life insurance. And folks, if you don't have life insurance, it's never too early to contact me today. Check me out on my website at unifourlife.com. I'm Dr. Jay Moore, thanking you for being a part of my podcast. God bless.